hot minute.
Welcome back to What's Spinnin'. It's been a few weeks, but we're here on episode 5, and we're joined by our friend Dave Dickerson, joining us here from CIQ, where he's the Director of Strategic Partnerships. And I'll end his intro there because we're going to dive into his origin story. And without further ado, Dave, thank you for joining us this week.
Hey, no, I appreciate the invite. This is great. I've enjoyed talking with you guys a couple months ago with the Creator Summit, and here we are again, and this is fun. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait for the next one. I think we're going to go bigger than
the next Creator Summit.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome.
So I think you just dropped a piece of news right there because I don't think we told anyone we're doing it again. So
I thought we were
breaking news. No, just having fun.
Yeah,
come on.
But yeah, we'd love to see you out. I know you were a big fan of the Bredor Lakes last time, so make sure that happens again for sure.
It's so beautiful. Like I hope you guys open it up to be just this massive invite for anybody who wants to attend. Like, just come out on your own because Nova Scotia is just gorgeous. Like, I've never been out there before, and seeing that's worth it. And then you also get to talk shop, so two birds with one stone.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got so many cool people in one spot, and that's kind of enticing. Because, it is a little bit off the beaten path for most people, but definitely, like you said, it's worth it, especially in the summer. Wouldn't recommend it this time of year. We got dumped on pretty hard here a couple of weeks ago, like 5 feet in 2 days, so that was pretty wild. But, really, really cool to have you on here today. As always, I guess we'll start a little bit with Dave's origin story. Kind of what led you into this career path, kind of maybe talk a little bit about your history, what you did in university, things like that, and we'll go back and forth.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I had a true tech origin. In high school, it was some you have to get a job that plans for your future and whatnot. And at the time, it was like, I want to do something in law. Like, I want to be a lawyer. I know that. I had already decided I wanted to be a defense attorney because at the end of the day, you have to have 12 people agree with you. So it's the harder of the two roles, right? And try and protect. So make it a challenge. And I could not find a job around me working in a law office. So they're like, all right, well, you have to have a job in order to take this class in general, or we're going to kick you out and you got to go do something else. So I ended up getting hired at Best Buy. And that kind of started down this path of solving problems with people, understanding technology, trying to piece all the things together. I was in the home theater and appliance department, so not even touching computers at all at this point. And actually Best Buy allowed me to transfer with them when I went out of state for school, when I went out of state just to move in general. So I was with them for 7 years in various departments. But I ended up going down the path of poli-sci and pre-law. And at some point I decided this is way too much reading. I don't want to read this much.
Yeah.
As much as I love to have all the facts and be able to prove my point with all of those facts and evidence, that was just way too much. So marrying the same idea of using facts and evidence and what people say in order to help them solve their problem, and then the enjoyment of technology just ended up pushing me down this path of sales in tech and into a partnership role, really, because at the end of the day, that was kind of my goal, right? It was help people solve these problems, help bring together multiple groups in order to get to a conclusion.
Yep.
Without all the law and
all the extra. Yeah, I think actually you have something in common with one of our previous guests, Al Nagy. You spent some time at Seagate, did you not?
So I was with Seagate for 10 years. I just left there a year and a half ago now.
Oh wow. Yeah, so that probably, I guess, made a lot of your career there. What did you do there? Same type of stuff, like strategic partnerships and things like that.
Yeah, so I got hired into the lowest level that you can be hired into when it comes to sales. So at that point, Seagate had brought internally a brand program where I had to go out to Best Buys and Micro Centers and stores like that and talk about Seagate and get these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to not only understand my technology, but then get excited about a hard drive, right? The least exciting thing inside of a computer.
It goes 2 terabytes bigger every year.
Well, at that time it was 500 gigs and just getting to 1 terabyte and a 2.5 inch, and I think it was 3 terabyte and 3.5 inch.
Yep.
So I had to go into the stores, which my history with Best Buy made it that much easier for me to be able to relate and connect with those guys. But it started with that. And then 6 months into the job, they said, okay, we need you to do more. You guys as a whole team, you're going to start selling to smaller channel resellers. So now I'm going down the path of having to work with local resellers. I was in Boston at the time. So to kind of give you some trajectory and all this. So I'm originally from St. Louis, lived in Tampa, Florida for a couple of years, still with Best Buy. And then Seagate took me back into Boston, which was great because I've always wanted to kind of live in Boston. And one of the smaller retails up there was an Apple-focused one, Small Dog Electronics, if anybody heard of them. Super cool, awesome guys. But worked with a bunch of partners like that to put drives on shelves, create promos, a whole selling motion that I'd never done before. And then just kind of continued to grow through that. Went from there to doing Canadian brick and mortar retail, which was interesting. Back into a channel role covering, the western part of the U.S. And that eventually turned into a role where Seagate was figuring out where they were going, how they were going to apply their systems that they've always OEM to like Dell and everybody else.
Yeah.
They went and branded it for themselves and put it out there in the channel. So I was with that team and now Seagate's live products, so live cloud, live mobile, that turned into that team, which I was one of the first sales reps on that and building that up. But so everything that I'd done there at some point was working with other partners because, I mean, you all know in the storage space, you can't take a dumb drive and not put anything on it in order to make it usable.
Yep.
And if your company's not going to build the software and do all the stuff with it, well, you need to find software partners.
Yeah.
And people buy from people they trust. And those VARs, those resellers inside of those VARs have relationships with the customers that you want to sell to. So if you can gain their trust and prove that your product is going to help their customer.
Yeah.
So I was always doing partnerships, just never really, was in the position to manage the partnerships.
Got it. Yeah, so in Boston, good place to be a sports fan, I guess. Or if you're
not unless you're a Boston sports fan.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Well, you got the Patriots, you got the Celtics, you got Bruins. Pretty good teams. But I guess if you're not a fan, it could be a little frustrating. Cool, man. That's awesome.
Let's put it this way: every major drought that the Boston teams have come out of have been against St. Louis teams. So Red Sox against the Cardinals in 2006, and then the next time they won the World Series against the Cardinals, I was living in Boston. The Patriots against the St. Louis Rams at the time in 2001. The Blues hadn't been back to the Stanley Cup since like 1989, and they lost against the Bruins that year. I was in enemy territory for the last 3 years.
Awesome.
And so they let me know.
I guess that led you to CIQ from there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So in my role working with the live products, I had gotten introduced to Greg Kurtzer.
Nice.
So one of my coworkers, Aman Anvari, he introduced me to Greg, and Greg had introduced me to Robert Adolph. They're the two co-founders of CIQ, and they're talking about their fuzzball product and what they want to do with it, but also that they got to solve for some things with Rocky Linux, and they needed to create a place to host a repo and whatnot. Well, Seagate having a cloud product's like, all right, let me go and see how I can help solve these guys' problems. And they were trying to find some new customers and new opportunities for fuzzball and for some other things. And at the time, I didn't quite have. They didn't need my product at that moment until they had a couple big influxes. So
Just, yeah,
okay,
you
well,
mentioned-
I'm already. Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, sorry, you mentioned
ahead.
Fuzzball a few times, just for the audience. I think that's the high performance compute platform of CIQ.
Yeah. So Fuzzball is a product that we've been working on for a little bit now. That's focused on marrying the traditional HPC workspace where customers are primarily on-prem, not doing a lot in cloud.
Yep.
And then the enterprise the enterprise AI workloads that are very similar to traditional HPC, but they're leveraging the cloud more. So Fuzzball was something that they've been working on for some time. Well, now we've been working on for some time. To marry that into an environment where customers can have more control over where their workloads go, what they do with it, what the cost is, all of these factors. So because they were trying to find as a startup, just went through their or about to go through a Series A, trying to find some big customers. I'm already doing outbound, and I'm already working on opportunities myself. And well, if I can't solve that customer's problem, and potentially CIQ can help them. If CIQ can help them and they're going to get that customer data can go onto Live Cloud, and now I win as well. So in trying to help them find opportunities and put this all together, at some point it became we need to put together a channel. We need to work with partners. We need to do all these things. You want to come over here and do this? Of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? I'm paying attention to what you guys are doing. With the little bit of background that I had in open source and seeing that CentOS was moved to end of life, like there's a lot of gears started turning of, all right, well, I can stay in a big company and get the comfort that comes along with that, or let's go out and try and do something cool and build something.
Yeah, blaze a trail. Very cool.
And as someone who first greatly benefited from that switch, but like seeing the Rocky, like that feeling of going to, that's the beautifulness of the kind of open source community of the like, I don't know. It's as true to solving someone's problem as possible.
Yep.
Like that, it's that altruistic way of like, no, this needs to exist.
Yeah.
We cannot kill the
CentOS,
the RHEL rebuild.
Yep.
The world needs it. Yeah. So
yeah, it was really cool that they did that very quickly too. Like it was pretty wild how quickly it all came together.
Oh, and it's not that they haven't tried to keep killing it. With
Exactly.
the last couple months, but.
Well, that just must show how well it's running and growing user base. Because if you got haters, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I know that I don't know, it's a consortium of some kind. The name of it is
OpenELA.
Yeah, OpenELA. So that I guess really helps solidify it as well, right? So we're not going anywhere kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the big second piece to it. So for those who don't know, Red Hat putting the code behind. So you have to, if you're building off of open source, you have to make the code accessible to your customer.
The source.
And in order to be a customer, the source code, in order to be a customer, you have to sign up for Red Hat in one way or another, whether you're paying for it or as a developer and you get X number of machines that you can deploy on top of. But that's not to the same extent of what CentOS was supposed to be in free. So in order to help protect that, CIQ went and partnered with Oracle and SUSE in order to create the Open Enterprise Linux Association, or OpenELA, in order to make all of that source code available for anybody to be able to pull from, and frankly build their own distro off of, do their own whatever they want with, because that's the point of it, right? But make it available without having to sign up for something.
Yeah, Oracle gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes, but that was pretty cool that they joined on with that for sure. So
heck yeah,
I like to see that.
Yeah, they were super great to work with. Honestly, Oracle and SUSE have been fantastic partners in this entire ordeal, especially with a company the size of CIQ and how new we are into the space. Like everybody was treated as an equal in those conversations.
That's
Very
awesome.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
sweet. So I guess the next question I would have is kind of what is your day-to-day over at CIQ? Like, I know you do some of the webinars and seminars there, and actually I have some questions about the workshops and things like that as well, but we'll start there. Kind of like walk us through kind of what your role entails at it there. I know the strategic partnerships, but just kind of specifically some of the stuff you're even working on right now.
Yeah, so that's one of the things about being in a startup environment. Everybody's kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So my day-to-day expectations are One, working with our resellers to, position CIQ and position CIQ products, figure out how we solve customer problems, but then also feed opportunities into those resellers, because we will have customers that reach out to us, or prospects, I should say at this point, that reach out to us, want to understand who we are, what we're doing. And as our sales engineers help solve those problems and figure it out, the question becomes, all right, what's the easiest way to procurement? How do we make it easy for you to buy our stuff? Because that's what you want at the end of the day, right? You don't go to the grocery store and expect to fill out 20 pieces of paperwork before you get to swipe your credit card. You go to the grocery store and swipe your credit card. So how do you make that simple? So when we do that, the question is always, who do you prefer to buy through? Who do you prefer to work with? And then once we know that, that comes to me, and I filter that back into our partners. So we're not only helping build business with our partners, we're also bringing business to our partners. So my role is to work with them, find the right partners that we want to be working with that are going to help grow us, but then also working with technology partners. So CIQ is the interesting thing about about what we're doing with Rocky and how we are the enterprise arm for Rocky Linux.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees what Red Hat has done for the last decade and a half. There are certifications, there are trainings, there are all of these different things. And if you're going to come out and say, hey, Rocky is 1-to-1 and you're the enterprise arm, do you have X, Y, and Z that I can get over here?
Yeah, okay.
And then I have to remind those customers and those partners, like, we're working on it. You got to remember they were just acquired for $34.5 billion 6 years ago. And we've been around for 4 years, and we're 100 people right now. So
you guys
all things that we recognize.
So you guys are working on like the RHCSA equivalent and things like that, like the storage architect and the certified engineer, those kind of things, are you?
So those are things that have been asked of us, and those are all items that we're trying to figure out how we approach it and when we approach it. To say that that I'm announcing that we've got this program, definitely not saying that.
Gotcha.
But we would, I can confidently say that we or anybody in our position would be foolish to not think about how we support our customers who have these expectations on how things have gone for the right reasons, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's kind of the whole point of open source. It's amazing, but you need to support the staff around it. Yeah. And you can do it in-house, or you can use vendors, much like CIQ or 45 Drives.
Exactly.
And we've seen the same thing too, and we've built up Ceph training. We have basic Linux training, soon Proxmox training. Yep. Things of where it's just like, people are like, oh, this sounds great, but I'm a little nervous. And it's like, don't worry, we'll bring you up to speed. So, yeah.
That's actually the argument that I see against Proxmox being enterprise the most is, well, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that as far as like support goes. And it's like, yeah, the SLAs specifically from Proxmox are designed not to be that, but that's where like a vendor like 45 Drives or some other vendor can come in and literally, yes, the solution is rock solid, it's production ready, it's all the support around it that you would expect to normally get with, let's say, an ESXi VMware that you don't automatically get. But when you have a vendor like 45 Drives again or someone else, you do get that enterprise solution through that. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, nobody wants to be caught with their pants down and not have support, not have somebody to call if something happens. So, if you don't have the right SLAs to back it up, if you can't check that box for compliance purposes, then nobody wants to be in that tough position, which is why there's the sayings of, nobody ever got fired for buying insert big company name, Dell, IBM, whoever.
But
and then same thing with solutions.
Like ESXi especially.
But what's cool when you get companies that really commit to the open source community and culture and the sharing of stuff like that. I don't know how much there's some cross compartmentalizing but between those big companies, but like you said, for support, everyone wants to know that there's someone they can call if shit hits the fan. Right? And then, but your vendor, and then you got to make your friends in the community. But like, for example, right, we had some stuff we were working through with Samba, right? Yep. And we were going. We said, we got a couple questions, so we hit CIQ up, asked Greg because I know Jeremy Allison's on staff over there, and just. Just like a partnership, friendship we have here, he fired some questions back to us. It unstuck us on something.
Definitely unstuck us.
And from the customer's point of view, they're getting help.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of the beautiful part of relationships and being open and sharing and the kind of buying into that open source culture. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
You're just solving problems.
yeah. So that feeling of like, oh, I don't get fired for going to Dell or whatever. I've seen some pretty like, nope, not supported, go away. Where you don't always get that out of the open source. They kind of want to help you at every sense. So there's something to say there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I don't want to sound like I'm dunking on VMware, but I kind of do, especially lately, like with the acquisition, the Broadcom stuff that's going on. It's like we've been on the phone and heard some of the support literally just flat out say, "Oh no, sorry, we can't help you with that. It's not X, Y, and Z." And they won't even not even a best effort, nothing. It's just like, nah, that's it.
No, I won't even dunk on them. I'll say thank you.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's because then the customer looks at us and goes, "Can you help?"
I'm
And
like,
we're like,
"Sure.
"Yeah, sure.
Let's
Let's
go."
figure it out."
Yep.
And then you get a customer for life there. So
That you definitely do. Yep.
But that's interesting. The whole like the Broadcom acquisition of VMware is really like starting to bubble over because people are flying in asking for alternatives.
Yeah, like that is huge right now. I don't know if you guys are hearing similar
Oh
buzzes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, it's gonna drive competition, and it's gonna drive more development. Because companies can't continue. I mean, look at what's going on in the world right now. The number of people that are being laid off across all of these organizations,
Wild.
and in various roles, right? So how do you try and solve for some of this? And unfortunately, if you're built inside of an infrastructure, both hardware stacks and software stacks, and everything else that companies are trying to build towards for the future that are difficult to get your hands on, and if you do get your hands on it, you're probably paying extra to get your hands on it. There's a cost that comes to all of it. So if you can find a way, or you can bring a solution that solves the problems, helps them cut their cost, helps keep everybody employed, and still meets all the company objectives,
Win-win, yeah.
sometimes it takes some leaps of faith and the right amount of trusted risk, assessed risk.
Yep. Well, I think a big part of that is just educating people in that, because a lot of people in the IT world, they don't see a lot of that open source. They know what they know, and they know the legacy vendor model. And I think you guys do an amazing job at kind of educating the public and kind of getting word out there. I know you do a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars and things like that. There's one going on today, actually, that I wish I had known about earlier. It's the Ascender workshop going on today. I think it's pretty much the whole day. Very, very cool. So it's kind of your guys' automation platform with, essentially, you're trying to replace Ansible, I think is the idea, or it's like a UI wrapper for it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what the goal of CIQ, and I'll go back to your Ascender question really quick to align on it. The goal at the end of the day is, we feel that a lot of infrastructure that's built off of open source that comes along with some type of support license, the costs have become overbloated, and not every customer can go and utilize it. To have to tell an end customer, hey, I know the problem that you're trying to solve and I can fix it for you. You don't have the budget.
Just don't have the budget.
You can't afford it. Like that's not a message that any salesperson that wants to help somebody wants to deliver, because that's not fun.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. You're letting them down, and as a salesperson who's driving towards a quota and needs to meet their objectives in order to continue their life, that doesn't help your quota. Like, nobody wins in that situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I say that because our approach around Rocky Support and how we support, but then also Ascender, a lot of customers gave us feedback, and that's the way our portfolio has been built. Is we've gotten the feedback of, I need to solve not only this problem, but I need to solve the automation problem. Okay, cool. So we've got a bunch of individuals on staff who are very familiar with AWX, very familiar with the open source Ansible, and how do we take that, wrapper that, and make that a product that CIQ can position to customers, keep it open source as open source should be, and then add and wrap value around that. So we're taking that position of not only talking about the OS, but Ascender as an automation platform that customers can utilize in order to support their entire environment, as well as some interesting add-ons. So like one in particular that they're talking about is called Ledger, and Ledger allows for reporting, allows you to have everything that you need, basically tell you what's been done, what broke, what didn't break, all as a simple bolt-on that's right there. And what's great is the pushback that a lot of times companies will get with automating. somebody in security will say, well, I don't know who did this.
Right. Yeah,
How do I run a report that said what was changed
all
where?
the auditing.
Ledger
Cool.
Ledger does all of that, so you can now pull those audit ready reports right there. Now everybody's happy.
That is very cool. So that's something that you guys are working on right now, or that is out available?
Ledger is available today. Yeah.
Very cool. And yeah, the best thing that is, it's all open source. You can all pull it down right now. But if you need support for it, you go to CIQ and get support, which is just awesome. Yeah, I was on the GitHub earlier of Ascender. Nice. Cool. So I think this leads into the war story potentially, if we're getting into automating and
sounds
all that
fun.
stuff. So yeah, anyone that watched the podcast much know we have that segment where it's essentially talking about a time in your IT and or technology career where you just kind of went into a problem thinking it was gonna be
this is slam dunk. This is quick 30 minutes before the end of the shift. No big deal.
And then you come out a whole new person on the other side, that 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
Anything that comes to mind in that realm for you?
I wouldn't say from my side too much from a technical standpoint, but there were some very uncomfortable business conversations that took place.
I bet.
Like an end customer, like an end customer who said, I'm moving my entire business away from this distributor because I know that they are charging me more and I can't get my drives fast enough. So I'm going to move it to somebody who's going to maintain inventory, and I'm going to tell them you are not going to pass that information along. And then later when I get the phone call from the distributor, from the VP that I've never spoken to before at that distributor, why did you take my business? What's going on? I'm like, did you listen to your customer? Did you hear what they said and why they're doing what they're doing? Like, that's not on me, but that right there is all right, you gotta be ready for some of those sometimes, and also figure out
how to take the situation down.
Or when you're another one. I was working with a sports league, and they were trying to stand up this large storage space for all of their historical content, mostly on tape. Actually, all of it was on tape. And how do you move it off of that? And they were looking at deploying Ceph, and they got a quote to support Ceph from Red Hat, and that was kind of the determining factor on if they were going to use my hardware or not use my hardware. Luckily, they found somewhere else to go because the quote that they got just
ridiculous.
Did not make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was okay. If this falls apart, who do we go and talk to, and who else can come in here and solve this problem? And that, it's been mostly conversations like that where you start to think about who else can I have in the wings to come in to help solve this problem if option A falls apart.
Yeah.
Luckily, I haven't been on the technical side too much in having to solve for that. It's
I don't know.
The business relationships.
Well, I see you say that sometimes too, but on being the tech side, sometimes computers listen, they're reasonable, and sometimes they're a little crazy, but sometimes people in the business side's a little scarier. So I don't know. I think it's tough on both sides.
Yep. That's for
computers
sure.
don't have emotion, so at least you have that going for you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not yet, at least. Yeah, it at least won't go. No, you were
Not
mean.
that we're aware of.
Yeah, I don't like the way you spoke to me.
Yeah.
You can't log in.
Brett and I have been saying lately, like that we're very nice to our AI overlords because you never know when they're going to become conscious.
That's it.
So we're talking to GPT.
Yeah. My latest, Siri didn't used to do this, but Siri set me a timer for this. Thank you. You're welcome. And then my
always say thank you to Siri. Always.
Are you saying thank you, Siri? I was like, yes. When they take over, I want them to remember this.
Yeah.
These videos that are being shared of people knocking robots over so that way they can learn how to balance and catch themselves. Man, that is going to be used against us.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're just going to keep kicking them around. Come on, get back up.
Yeah, get back up. Get back up till it does.
Yeah.
And then kicks you to the ground.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It tells you to get back up. Learn to balance.
But yeah, no, my GPT history is pretty hilarious when you look at it sometimes. It's just like you actually start to use it in a way where you feel like you're talking to someone, and you're just using manners and stuff. It's just like...
Well, some people do. I've heard some stories of people my chat, I'm just like, well, it's karma, man. What are you putting into it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
the amount to learn from these language learning models right now, like what you get out of ChatGPT versus what you throw into it, like it's insane, like how helpful it can be in just trying to solve basic things where you would spend an hour on Google going through multiple pages trying to solve a particular problem. Like, how do I do this? I mean, I don't understand what you mean there. What if and then you just, it's so great.
Yes. So my thinking, the way that I kind of think through problems is like, I'll just start Googling stuff normally, just like while I'm thinking about it. Whereas now I go straight to GPT and just start punching stuff in and getting responses back.
I Google stuff when it gives me something I like.
Exactly.
I want to make sure that this is real.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes it can give out it's very, very sure of itself, even when it's completely wrong. So but it's getting better all the time for sure.
And sure of itself as of 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all January 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can even research. Like, I don't know if you pay for it, but like it can research online now and everything. It can even run code.
I have not started paying for it yet. So yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Like, it will literally go online and Google for you. Well, it'll Bing for you, but not a big Bing fan.
But that's the kind of the cool part of it. People look at it, like everything in technology, it's black or white, right? AI's here, we're done. Well, no, it's just like
it's a tool.
It's a tool. Like, but my goodness, it can start. It's just that kind of starting urge of like, I don't know. You look at a blank page, you look at a blank new file and VS Code, it's just like, oh shit, where do I start here? Sometimes you can just give me something that does this, and then you just start going from there. It's incredibly powerful.
Yep, for sure.
So I know you guys are supposed to be asking me questions, but I got a question for you since we're on this topic.
Deadly.
I saw that Jensen from NVIDIA had said the other day, don't learn to code.
I said that
way
too.
We're going, don't learn to code.
Yeah.
AI's got that figured. AI will have that figured out. Your kids should not be learning how to code. I'm paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly what he said was don't learn to code. When you guys hear that, what are your thoughts?
I didn't hear an alternative. That was the problem. He was saying like, don't learn to code, but I didn't hear him say, do this instead.
All right. Well, here's my take on it. Programming and architecture are two different things.
Yeah.
At one point, like, you can, being a software architect or being a programmer with no clear architecture of a system you're trying to build, you'll build a Jenga tower that falls over, you'll get nowhere, you'll get bugs, you'll be lucky if you even finish it. Good luck having a stakeholder. But like the proper architecture of a system, whether it's software or whatever, is an art in itself that AI won't be able to do yet. So I kind of can get behind what he's saying a little bit, where it's like, don't go in and just learn how to code in Python into this or whatever. Focus on understanding the concepts of like building and architecting systems. Because if you do that right, do proper architecture, class architecture, what you're trying to build, then you can maybe go toss some of that to the AI, and you're like, all right, do this for me, do this for me.
Build it modular.
It's almost that jump from the craftsman, like, I don't know, like you're the engineer who has to do all the tinkering, figuring out, drawing or whatever, versus the, okay, I did the drawings, here, production team, go put it together. That's how I took his comment. So, of course, like, don't not learn to code. You still know how to put things together, but we need to start thinking bigger, and rather than just being a code monkey,
thinking
be an architect, be a software engineer rather than a programmer. If you kind of, that's my take on it.
And the last thing I think I would add to this is also like, okay, you don't learn to code, but you're going to get AI to code it, but then you're going to have this code, and you have no idea what it's actually doing along the way. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know how that's helpful either. I mean, sure, it gets the thing done, but is there going to be any edge cases that it doesn't account for that you can't figure out if that's the case either?
But we see it now, like new people coming into our industry and stuff. I'm talking even hardware, like the abstraction layer of what we're at with the cloud and with containers and everything. We've got all these brilliant people who can do crazy stuff, but then the motherboard fails and they go,
no idea.
Oh, I don't know how to fix that. And you're like, well, that's the easy part. Take the screws out, put the new one, put it back in. So like there is a trade-off every time you climb that
black
abstraction layer that you lose a little bit below. So like, don't want to not program, but like, that focus on, we got to keep climbing the layer, I guess.
What do you think that could do to innovation, though? So you think about it, if you don't know how to do some of those basic pieces, and you're always solving for the
same way.
information that's there. I mean, granted, we're also thinking that the AI model hasn't learned more and hasn't developed new code and new ways to doing things, that there's way too many for any one person to go and learn all of it in order to actually do something with it. But yeah, I mean,
good point.
If the recipe's there, like, how do you go and innovate in order to make something better? Like, if you always follow the same chocolate chip cookie recipe,
you're right.
Because
You're
that's
exactly
the way
right.
it's written out, we would never have cowboy cookies.
Yeah, and then you get that echo
pretzels and
chamber.
caramel and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a feedback loop over and over.
So no, you raise a good point, but it comes back to the kind of black and white. I think that's CEOs and that they say these hot takes don't do that, but like.
Of course, he'd say it. He's all in on AI and making billions upon billions of dollars on it.
But you raise a good point. If we just hand that over to the robots, then they're the ones who are in control. I don't know. So
yeah, it's a profound question for sure.
But I do like the idea of simple things being made even easier, so you can focus on other stuff.
Well, that's it, right?
So
for sure.
That's the weird balance.
I think there's a fine line of knowing how to do it yourself, but always doing it yourself. If you, like, at a certain point, like, you got to learn the base and then climb the ladder and then distribute it, because you can do more every time you do that.
Yeah, because we had an engineer here that would like flat out just refuse to use GPT, even though it would have substantially cut down on the time, especially when you're iterating and you're going through the original, like the beginning phases of trying to figuring something out. Just, try it, throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and then just keep kind of iterating just in the early phase before you then get ready. Okay, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to build this now. And I think, just being that, I guess the Luddite of the AI world, where you're just like, no, I'm not going to do it because I can do it better. It's just like not thinking like that is great either. So it's all a balance with everything.
Use the tools available to you.
Exactly.
I'd say if you think you can do it better, do the work and then throw it in and cross compare, or throw it in there and go, oh, I never thought to do it that way.
Yeah. But I know there's a lot of like fear of, it's going to steal all my company secrets and things like that too.
Well, that's always a fear.
Yeah.
That's always a fear.
Sign an NDA every time you open up ChatGPT. This conversation is under NDA.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, we've dove in heavily on the tech. I would love to know a little bit about you outside of work. Kind of what are any hobbies, anything that you're super into right now? You gamer? I know we're heavily gamers here.
I am a gamer.
Nice.
I am a console gamer.
Okay.
It was just always the easier way to do it. I'm hitting a point where, so I'm an Xbox guy. Like, I bought a PS4 when the price dropped dramatically, and I could go play all the first party games because that's what I cared about. But otherwise, love the Xbox controller, love the Xbox ecosystem. Great with that. But now that Microsoft is making these announcements, Xbox is making these announcements that they're going to open games up, and it's been clear. Like, as soon as Game Pass came out, my first thought was, okay, when can I play these games on my iPad when I'm traveling?
Yeah,
right.
Like, when can I run it in the cloud on my work laptop through a web browser when I'm doing nothing in a hotel room from 6 p.m. on, and don't want to get stuck with whatever happens to be on TV at that point? Like, how can I play some games and I'm on the go and not be stuck waiting to get home to play it?
For sure.
So I'm excited about that, but PC gaming it's looking like it's going to be that thing where I want to build a small form factor machine and put that in the living room, so that way I can play, I can have content and whatnot right there. But I want to, but I just can't pull the trigger yet.
Craziest thing was building my first gaming PC was literally what led me down the path to being right here today. Like, I had a complete other career that had nothing to do with technology. Was always a big, tech head and loved electronics and stuff like that. But once I decided I was going to get into PC gaming and built my first one, it was just like a bug that bit me, and it just went down the rabbit hole. And so that's why I always try to get young people into it. That it could lead to a pretty cool career. So
I had a similar story. I got one of those first iPod touches they put out. Just learning how to jailbreak it and everything. I was like, this is so fun. And then that kind of sparked it from there.
Sparked that
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all at about that age where we remember watching movies with the computer hackers, like typing everything on keyboards. Like,
I'm in.
You still want to type extra hard sometimes. Like, I'm doing something cool, cracking the mainframe.
Dude, I'm not ashamed to say this, but when I first started working here at 45 Drive, so my background's an electrical engineer, right? So my Linux kind of IT knowledge came later when I started here and everything. And so when I got here and learning Linux and doing all this stuff, I was like, oh, this is cool. So in our lab, I just had a bunch of servers all set up with the monitors, and before I'd leave a lot of the nights, I'd just run an update on all of them, and then all the screens would be flying by and everything, and I'd just be like, look at me.
What movie's that, Swordfish, where it's like he's there hacking and all the screens are going?
Yeah, I know. It's funny how that is, but it's exactly what you said, that little hacker thing. It's fun to just go like, look, and then eventually you do it long enough, you're like, that's not doing anything real.
I mean, I still type emails in that same, like, I am doing awesome things with how I'm typing right now. It's just hey, how you doing? You have a nice day?
Yeah. No, there's like a super cut of a video, and it's like, just wiping the sweat off your brow. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Use the green matrix terminal colors.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about personal stuff, I'll jam two segments together. We have one where it's kind of like, what's beside you right now? A lot of the tech people we talk about, and I also know that you have a cat, and I saw the cat poke up in the corner a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's his or her name?
Brett's a big cat guy too.
Big cat guy. Yeah.
So I've got 6 of them running around.
No way, that's awesome.
He's got 2.
Yeah, my wife and I have a hard time saying no.
Oh yeah, I hear that.
We like to think she's a good person. I like to think of myself as a good person. So because of that, we've got 6 of them. But the black and white one that was just up here, that's Logan. He's a polydactyl. So
nice. He's got thumbs.
He was actually supposed to be named John McClane, but when I found out he was a polydactyl or a mutant.
Oh,
like, all right, you are Weapon X.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, 6 cats.
But yeah, so that's going on. In terms of what's near me right now. So I mean, I've got sitting right here on my desk. This.
Nice. The
card holder from the show.
Yeah.
It's such a cool little thing that you guys put together. I could not have that available.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But been the constant reminder of my inability to give myself enough time. I've been meaning to build this.
Oh, damn.
Lego
that
guy.
looks
I got
awesome.
that. I got it a year ago, and I'm so upset with myself that I haven't touched it yet. But I keep it right here as a reminder of, will you just do something with it? Will you just go and have some fun for a minute and do that?
That's my guilty pleasure too.
I want it. There's a light kit for it that I want to get, so everything will light up and it's USB powered, so I can keep it powered. And then there's a glass case that is going to go in because Legos plus cats equals disaster. So it needs.
Yep, I can attest to that.
It's gonna go.
Smack
It's
it
gonna
right
go
off
into
the-
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once it's done, I'm actually gonna adjust my office a little bit so I can have a bookshelf behind me and have that proudly displayed right there all the time. So no matter who I'm talking to can see.
That's
my
awesome.
Ecto one lit up.
I can attest to the cats and Legos don't go together. I have the ruins of a Hogwarts castle on top of my desk because it's just been picking it apart over time. And I was just like, it's just part of it now.
Yeah.
It's just a griffin that's
every once in a while
Hogwarts.
a magical creature comes by and takes a tower out. No big deal.
So, my wife wanted a cat when we got our German Shepherd, and I said no. But now I really want one, but I think it's a little too late. She's 4 years old, and she's quite
don't do that.
It's not too. No, it's not.
No?
If your German Shepherd is good with other animals,
Good
it'll be
with other
great because then the
dogs.
cat will grow up thinking it's a dog.
Okay.
The cat will think
surprised.
it's a dog, and you'll be able to walk it. Yeah.
You'd be surprised, man. Cats they'll put the big dogs in their
Oh,
place.
heck, I've seen it many times. Yeah. They're just so fast, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's fun. I enjoy the chaos that comes along with
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's enjoyable.
Very cool, man. Well, this is great, Dave. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us for sure. Actually, it'd be cool we didn't really dive in too much about some of the CIQ things, so we'd love to have you back on maybe. But if there's anything that you'd like to plug as far as going on with CIQ in the next little while, whether it's a webinar or a workshop or anything like that, or anything you want to chat with about on your own side, definitely. now's the time.
Yeah, no, of course. I appreciate that. I mean, to make it super quick and super easy. So we have a weekly webinar where we talk about either what's going on in the enterprise Linux space. We talk about HPC. We have a lot of gurus who've been around for some time in the HPC space, sharing war stories and just talking about how to make things a little bit better, a little bit different. How do we offset? We're currently in the process of running our Get Out of the Red campaign.
Okay.
So actively talking to customers who are paying for a lot for RHEL licenses, and how do we help them
Get out
solve
of
that
the red.
problem, open up their budget in order to go
awesome.
do
I like
more
to
with
play
it.
on
Yeah,
words,
nice.
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, nice little wordplay there.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We've got some images launched in the cloud now. So in GCP, AWS, we're on the console for OCI. So I mean, CIQ is here and ready to help on multiple segments, and happy to have partners such as yourself inside of the RESF. So
Awesome.
this has been great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll grab some of those links from you, and we'll make sure we put them in the description once
Yeah.
this goes up.
That, and I will wrap up too. We talked about the Creator Summit at the beginning, and it was the Creator Summit, but we are going to expand that more to just a summit in general. Like, obviously, you're going to be invited again back. We're putting the plans together of when and where. Obviously here, but like we'll figure that out. But we wanted to open it to others as well, to potentially customers and fans and other things too, and make more of kind of a panel and discussion. So
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Anyway, stay tuned for the second year of that, because we're gonna grow it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It got so many gears turning that I want to become more of a home labber, and I want to start putting some of this stuff together myself. That I'm trying to find a 19-inch quarter rack right now, so I can throw a small machine in there, put some networking gear in it.
I might know a company that has a home lab division.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I heard they do something with drives and sets too.
Yeah,
Like
45 of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it's 40.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, those conversations were super helpful for somebody like me that's and to have more people be able to be exposed to that, I think would be great. So no, that was a fantastic summit. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Awesome,
man.
We'll learn her there then. So, thanks for joining us, everyone. And
That's what's spinning.
That's
I got to do first.
Chris, producer Chris, who's next week?
Jay Lacroix from
Learn Linux TV.
Next week we have Jay Lacroix from Learn Linux TV.
Yep. Awesome. Great YouTube channel.
Yep.
Exciting.
All right, Dave.
Okay.
Thanks for joining.